Welcome back to my hometown. I'd like to, as you hear the intro and outro of the My Hometown podcast, it is a song that was written by my guest that I have today, Miss Kim Cantwell. She wrote "This Town Is Home."
Yes, I did.
And I thought it was the perfect song because it explains our town of Bowie, Texas. So I want to have you on today to talk about the song, how it came about, why you wrote it, all that fun stuff. So welcome, Kim.
Perfect. Well, thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate it. Yeah, and when you called about This Town Is Home, that kind of sparked a memory that I don't really think about a lot anymore because it's been so long. But when you called, it got my memory going on the whole process of why it was written and how it was written and the process of what it took to get there, to get that CD out to the people of this hometown and to others as well that wanted to learn more about what Bowie is actually like.
And how long ago did you write? Because you wrote the song.
I did.
And how long ago did you write the song and produce the CD? Because you also have other songs on your CD.
Yes, the CD is full of, I believe there are 10 songs, and like I said, it's been a while, but the CD was produced in 2005, the end of 2005. By the time I finished the process, which I started probably, I'm going to say maybe early 2004, I started, it was a process, and then by the time I actually really got the lyrics that I wanted, then that all was finished in 2005. Mm-hmm. And then I went to Nashville a couple of times to record this song and then another song that I wrote. And there's another original on the CD that was written by somebody else. Mm-hmm. And so I went out there and recorded that. And so by the end of 2005, we had what's called the album complete. And then we had the album party to hopefully bring the funds in for the fundraiser, which is the purpose that the song was written and the CD was produced.
Mm-hmm. So for what fundraiser was it written and produced?
Okay, a lot of people remember the old city auditorium. That is where the police department is now. Mm-hmm. When I was born, there was a hospital where the police department is. Right next to it was the old city auditorium, and I was a member of the Friends of the Auditorium group. I was also the Main Street president back around this time of the CD and everything. So we were working simultaneously together to get that auditorium renovated. And, sadly, it is not there anymore. Mm-hmm. And that still kind of tugs at my heart. What people didn't realize, a lot of people never went in there and looked and to see what could have been done. Now, I will tell you, there was lots of damage there. The basement part was damaged. I mean, so I understand the flip coin side of the reason for getting rid of it. But at the same time, that was a historic building that was very meaningful. It would have seated 900 people, whereas the Bowie Junior High Auditorium, which is our biggest auditorium, with the exception of now our community center. Mm-hmm. But as far as an auditorium, the Bowie Junior High seats around 400, maybe 420. That would have seated 900. We would have had it handicap accessible. Our goal was to be able to use it to make money, to mm-hmm. bring in funds for different things, performances, high school graduation. This was before the new gym was built at Bowie High School. So anyway, but that was the purpose. We were trying to raise funds. It was going to cost at the time around $3 million. Sure. And so Susan Campbell, who was the director of Main Street at that time, she loved the idea mm-hmm. of my song. And so she helped me. I paid for the production of the CD. I went out to Nashville a couple of times and recorded the CD. And then Main Street Bowie, actually, they paid to have the CDs made, manufactured. Uh-huh. And so they had 1,000 made, and we have sold all but, let's see, I got my tub out this morning, a little tub. I think I have maybe 12, 15 left.
Wow.
So through the years, it's just sold. And it really just sold to, it's a song full of memories and nostalgia. Mm-hmm. This Town Is Home is. And a lot of Bowie folks could remember those things that were mentioned in the song. Mm-hmm. And so writing the song was a process. I mean, I didn't come up with all this on my own mm-hmm. by any means.
Because there's a lot to it, because I jotted down some things that your song talks about. This Town's Home, it talks about, of course, Jackrabbit football, because we're Jackrabbits. Yeah. Talks about the old trail drive-in theater that probably some of our kids don't even know what that is, or where it is, or where to find it.
Exactly.
The picture show, we used to have actually 2 movie theaters, right?
Yeah, and I heard that when I was young. We had the downtown picture show, and we called it the Majestic Theater. And then we also had the drive-in. So as a child, I had both options. Sometimes on Friday nights, my friends and I would go to the Majestic, and then on Saturday nights, we'd go out to the Trail Drive-In. So good things. And really, if you don't mind me interjecting just a moment, because it really goes with this. I did sit down and I started jotting down things I remembered. But Bowie goes, there were things before me. I mean, I was born in 1965. That dates me there. But, you know, there were a lot of wonderful things here, but it goes back even before me, of course. And so I would just approach people. If I was at the beauty shop and an old friend came in and, you know, being born and raised here at the time, I was, I guess, maybe 40 something. I don't know, do my math here, but I would see people that I knew everywhere, and I would say, hey, tell me 3 things you remember about growing up in Bowie. And so they would tell me. And so some of the things in the song were actually here before I was born, or things that I really didn't remember. But then a lot of it is about my time, my era growing up. And it was just a fabulous place. Downtown was always full of cars on Saturdays. We had all kinds of stores down there, and grocery stores everywhere, gas stations everywhere. You pull up, they fill you up with gas. You know, my grandfather was, he owned the Whitaker Gulf Station, and that's where my first job was. At 6, I had a milk crate out there and would wash windshields and get tips. And then later on, I was old enough to pump gas and check the oil. And then later, about 10 or 12, he let me run the cash register and sell cigarettes and all those things back in, you know, the early 70s. But that's where I learned to save money. And so anyway, but that's where it started. I would just ask people, people that I knew, younger people even, what do you remember about growing up in Bowie? And there are a lot of things that are not mentioned in that song that now I'm like, oh, dang it. I should have, thought of that. But anyway.
How long did it take you to write the song?
It took me, I'm going to say probably, all in all, 4 or 5 months maybe, just to kind of culminate the information and then really get it down to paper and make it all rhyme and fit and do all those things. So
because it also talks about, I wanted to cover some more things. It talks about, and so when I listened to it, I hadn't heard it in a while, and it brought up a lot of memories for me too. And I think when people listen to it, they'll go, "Oh yeah." One was the Frosty mugs, from the chicken place. Like they'd have it, keep it in a cooler, and you get root beer in a Frosty mug. Talked about the high dive. We used to have this really high dive.
The old pool.
Yes, as a kid, I was scared to death to jump on it. So, of course, it's not there anymore. It's just filled in. We have a new pool, and and again, you mentioned about shopping downtown. Downtown looks way different than it did many years ago. Because you just can't.
Yeah, exactly.
Quite the same.
And I have to tell you that part at the end where it starts talking about, it's kind of the end of the song. We called that the reprise, where we just started talking about the root beer and a Frosty mug and Bowie drug and all those things. Lisa Bell, my very dear friend Lisa Bell, I taught with her for years, and she is so smart about putting together songs and things, and we kind of had that gift together. We like to write, we like to make rhymes, and so I asked her, I said, Lisa, I really need your help with this, what we're going to call the reprise. And this was all my producer was saying, hey, get all that in a reprise. We can make it a longer song. We'll just call it a reprise. Because in the music world, you don't want to have a 6-minute song on a CD. That's just not really something you do,
It's about 4 or 4.5 minutes.
It is. And it's a little longer than your average song should be. But you know what? I'm not trying to be a singer and get a contract with anybody. I mean, it would have been great had somebody picked it up and, But anyway, but that didn't happen, and that's okay.
And maybe my hometown podcast will make it.
Maybe.
Yes,
absolutely.
It will bring it back.
Absolutely, I would love that. But Lisa Bell and I sat down, and she helped me write that. And one thing, you talk about the memories, like the Frosty mug, you can just kind of still see that and feel that coldness on your hand, and when you put your lips to it, and it was just, just a memory that we could tell our children. But unless you've been there, they'll never really know. But I can hear still the squeak of the old wood floors, and that was Russell's department store. And when Lisa Bell said that, we wrote that down, and she and I both we just kind of got choked up. And like Herd's Hardware, every bride that got married went and had their registry there. And everybody in town would go to Herd, but they would go across the street to the style shop and get your nice china. Or, those stores are just so, they have such wealth in our memory bank. And I still sometimes I get real sentimental that my grandchildren will never know that. You know, they'll never know that. So writing the song, I can't tell you through the years how many people, like, it keeps resurfacing on Facebook. Somebody every now and then will put it back on there and it'll resurface. But it has had so many likes and so many shares. And I do not want to take any credit and say, oh, look at me. It is not about me. It is just about a town. And when people, you know, I read on social media how people want to bash Bowie and they want to say things, I'm like, if you would just embrace what it really is, you would love it. And you would be wanting to know this song and know more about this song and what Bowie really is.
And that's kind of my goal with my hometown podcast is to, because I think small towns have such a rich history.
Yeah. Oh,
and
absolutely.
The people in it are amazing, and the businesses in it are amazing, and I want people to get to know those things that maybe they didn't know. Maybe they didn't realize that we used to have high dive, that we used to have stores that you could actually, you didn't even have to go out of town.
You didn't.
To get
Saturday
anything.
was a full day in Bowie, Texas. There was Tomlinson's. That's where my mom took me to buy, you know, my little girl clothes. I mean, little shirts to start school, little pairs of jeans and, you know, undergarments and things like that. We went there. We didn't have Walmart. We did have Gibson's. A lot of things that I had growing up came from Gibson's.
What's one thing you remember about Gibson's?
Oh, walking in and smelling the popcorn. And the horse that you would ride there at the door. You put a little quarter in, or I think it was a dime when I was a kid, but you could ride the little horse.
And they had slushies at the front.
They had slushies at the front.
I think it was a slushie.
It was, yeah. It was a slushie machine. They had the Coke and then the cherry. And so, yeah, but you could smell the popcorn. I actually ended up later, I believe it was my first job. No, it was my second job. My first job was at JRB, which is now Brookshire's. But then I went and worked at the Bowie Pharmacy, or Gibson Pharmacy, I'm sorry. It was a Gibson Pharmacy that Terry Morgan owned. He owned the Bowie drug, and he also ran the Gibson Pharmacy and owned that. And so great memories, because I would go in and just smell that popcorn. For my whole life, that's what I think. It's the first memory.
It's the
yeah.
And you know, those buildings are still there. They're a lot different now than they were. Old Gibson's is a church.
It is.
The bowling alley is now a gym. You talked about the Majestic. When I first, right after a couple years after I first started training, I moved down to there, and I'd tell people, try to explain, oh, you're at the old movie theater. Yep, that's where I'm at. So, you know, our town has changed over the years.
It absolutely has, yeah.
And I think some things are good that we've changed, and I think some things make us kind of sad that we have lost some of those things.
Yeah, and I'm nostalgic to a fault. I had a wonderful life growing up in this town. I mean, I did. It just, you know, great parents. My grandparents were always within walking distance of my house. And like I said, my grandfather ran that Gulf station. And I look back and I think, you know, would I be a good money saver had he not allowed me to take tips to the savings and loan on Friday, where the Dingler's Clinic is now, the Bowie Clinic, which is part of the Nakona General Hospital Group. That was the savings and loan. And my papa, Whitaker, would take me every Friday, and he would pull through there, and he would add a little extra to my change, and we would deposit money. And he would always tell me, someday you're going to help your mom and daddy buy your first car. And I did. I had the down payment for my first car. And so now I'm still, if you give me some money in my hand, I'm going to make sure that some of it gets put over the savings account. So, you know, would I have learned that without that experience and without the love and the guidance that I had? But no, the song just brings back such memories. And I haven't listened to it in a while. And sometimes when I do, I get a big lump in my throat, because not only do I remember the process of writing it and putting it together and the recording session and everything sessions. I had to fly out to Nashville twice, but it just brings back that memory. And there's nothing like that memory that feels so real in your mind, and you can still kind of feel it with your fingers and taste it or smell it or hear it or see it. You know, see your friends going down the drag and you're just waving at them, honking, you know, and things like that. So
because and when we did have a drag, it used to be a 2-lane. Now it's a 1 lane. Because we have a turning lane now, because we grow and so there's no real drag. It's a little different, than it was.
Do you remember the drag strip where you turn around?
Mm-hmm.
From Sonic to Gibson.
From Sonic to Gibson.
Sonic to Gibson's, yeah. And I have to tell you this, it's funny. My first vehicle, this is not one that I bought, but when I first got my license at 15, my dad let me drive this 72 Chevrolet long bed pickup with a CB radio. It's so funny. And it started running out of gas, you know, and I said, hey, Dad, your pickup's about out of gas. And he said, what are you going to do about it? I was like, can I have some gas money? He said, well, do you have a job? I said, no, sir. And so Mom and I went out to JRB, like I said, which is now Berkshire. I got my first job so I could pay for gas so I could go from Sonic to Gibson, Sonic to Gibson, Sonic to Gibson.
So that was your motivation to get your first job?
You bet.
Was
absolutely.
Just to pay for gas.
I was not going to not go to the drag unless my parents grounded me and said, you can't. And that was not the problem, was that I didn't have gas money.
Because then, I mean, vehicles would be on the side at all, was it Allsup's then?
Oh, gosh, let me think. It wasn't Allsup's.
Then,
but I remember an old house being there. I know where Ritzy Rags is. That was a car wash, right?
Yes.
That's where everybody would park.
Yep, and you see all your friends, because we didn't have cell phones, didn't have social media. I mean, that's where I had
CB radio,
and
I didn't have a handle. Yeah, and I got in trouble with that CB radio one time. My papa sold them, and he repaired them, and everybody bought their CBs from him, and I was just being silly one night. I'm not going to tell the story, but anyway, I was being really silly. My friend and I were being silly and kind of just tricking this truck driver on Channel 19. And so when I got home that night, my papa called and he asked me about it. He heard every word, and like I said, it wasn't anything that was, it was just we were tricking somebody, and he thought we were really going to meet this truck driver. He had no intention of doing that. And anyway.
And so what was your handle back in the day?
It was ice cream cone.
Ice cream cone.
Yeah, and I will tell you, I don't know why, because my dad was Bobcat, my mom was Lady Bobcat, my brother was Baby Bobcat, and I was ice cream cone. And Raymond Clement, my whole life, when he was my teacher, and even when I was like 30 and 40, he always called me Double Dip. So anyway, I love food, Aaron. Maybe I need to come see you at the gym. So, yeah, that was my handle was ice cream cone.
Ice cream cone.
Yeah. I don't know why. I really don't. I should have been Sister Bobcat, but it didn't happen.
But instead, you're ice cream cone.
Ice cream cone, yeah. Which is very silly, but anyway, I've matured. I've matured past that.
So over the years, have you ever wanted to leave Bowie? Has there been a time when you go, I want to leave?
Never, no. No, when I was a senior in 83 and I graduated and went to college, I went to Cook County College at Gainesville, which is now NCTC. I lived in the dorm for a year. Mom helped me pack up my little car with all my stuff, and I drove down that Sunday evening to start class on Monday, and I bawled all the way. Went to a payphone and told my mom I was coming home.
And it's only 45 minutes.
Yeah, that's what my mom said. Yeah, my mom said, "You are in Gainesville. You're gonna be fine." I'm like, "Oh, hello." But the cool thing is, a lot of Nocona girls were there, and I didn't really know a lot of Nocona girls growing up. We just met them at football games. Like I was a majorette in 8th grade, and so when we go to football games, the other majorettes, we would all kind of join up together and meet each other at halftime or whatever. So I knew them kind of that way. But a lot of these Nocona girls were there. Several Nocona girls were there, and I just made friends with them. And got to feeling really comfortable with my friend group there. And I was fine after about a week. But that first week was really hard for me because I wanted my mama. I know that sounds really crazy. And then as an adult, I just never wanted to leave. I taught here in Bowie for 21 years. My first year as an aide was when your wife was a second or third grader. I can't remember. I think maybe second grade. I was a high school senior and went to class in the mornings. And then in the afternoon, I went to Bowie Elementary as a teacher's aide. And anyway, so yeah, I always wanted to just be an educator here, and I started out in my adulthood as a teacher's aide for Clyde McMurray at Bowie Junior High 1 year, and he encouraged me to be a teacher. He wanted me to go back to school, and because I had quit college after that first year, and just actually I'd worked for an attorney. I worked for C.W. Chandler for 5 years, and I had Leah. I got married in 84, and then had Leah in 87. And so I was just going to be a teacher's aide the rest of my life. And Clyde McMurray just encouraged me to do something different with myself. And so I decided that I would try some night courses. At the time, Cook County was coming over to the old Bowie High School and offering night courses. So I did that. And then I pinned both ears back and I said, okay, I'm going to do this. Clyde McMurray was really pushing me to do it, and I respected him, and so I quit my job, and I went to school, and I graduated with my bachelor's in 2.5 years.
Wow.
And so then I came and taught for Bowie. Well, I taught for Chico 2 years, and then I taught in Bowie 21 years. And I was a school counselor at Nocona my last 6, and met up with my old friends again. So, yeah.
And now
I'm a school counselor at Goldberg ISD. I retired from education in 2018, and I went into the business world. And for 4.5 years, I was really just kind of trying to find myself. The business world was great in many ways. It was not a fit for me in many ways. My joy level was not where it needed to be. I miss children. I miss being that counselor for them, that guidance person, that role model. And I was just not happy. And then I got a job at NCTC Bowie. I was actually working and employed by Catholic Charities Fort Worth as a navigator for their scholarship program. And I loved that job. It was a wonderful, great job. It was a great 1.5 years. But Goldberg needed a counselor, and I really prayed hard about it. And I didn't even have to really work at just doing it. I mean, I just said, Lord, if this is what you want me to do, because I've really not been able to find myself, you know. So, Lord, I just need you to. Is this where you want me? Because I literally this is my 5th endeavor since I retired from education, because I could not find myself. I did other things besides the insurance. I substitute. I was a substitute teacher, and then I did some other things, and I just couldn't find myself. And it really kind of got the best of my emotion, which, if you know me very well, which I think you do, I don't let things get me down. I mean, I just don't. And when I do, it's not going to last long. But this started lasting long. And I was just sad all the time. And I would read things about school. And I would just feel like I was missing out. You know, and then Kim Williams needed a counselor. Her counselor was leaving to pursue something different. And it just all worked out. So,
and you feel like you're back?
Every day I go, and I'm like, I'm very thankful. I feel like, I just feel like every person is born with a purpose. You're not put here accidentally. I don't care what your human thought is or the thought of your flesh is. You are put here for a purpose. And I know what my purpose is. And the Lord has revealed that to me. Now, He has let me, because I'm real bad about saying, Jesus, Lord, I need you to help me. You know, you take the wheel. I'm going to give it to you. And 2 seconds later, I'm going to take it back and let Him sit over there and just, you know, so I don't listen. I ask, but I don't really listen long enough. And so He really started speaking very loudly to my heart. And I needed to get away from the insurance world, but what do? You know, in this world, we have a mortgage payment. We like to drive nice cars. We like to eat decent food. You know, we like to go out and have a good time, you know, at a restaurant, go to a nice restaurant with your husband. You know, you want to do those things. And so you need a paycheck. You need a paycheck. I'm not to the point now where I can, you know, survive without a paycheck. And it was just like, I can't give up this job. What do I do? You know? And so then I tried something else. That was not a fit. And I've never not felt like I was a fit somewhere. But education, you know, is what I've done my whole life. And it's my fit. It's my purpose. And it's been revealed to me that I'm not playing games anymore. I know what my purpose is. And until I can retire and I'm just ready, and the Lord says, you've done a good job, then I'll just keep doing it.
Do you feel like those other things you did were really important and needed to happen in order for you to really, truly find what your purpose
I absolutely do. Because when I retired, I was not burnt out. I loved my job at Nocona. I was at the middle school for 6 years, loved it. And I'm so grateful. Laura Ice was my principal at the time, and she hired me even before I finished my master's degree. They can do that in the school system. They can hire you before you're actually certified, as long as you're working on that. And she did. She had enough faith in me as a teacher and as an educator. She hired me. And so, I mean, I look back and I'm like, my relationship with her is still, we don't see each other much, but it's still a very strong relationship. When we text each other out of the blue for something, you know, I miss her. She misses me. I love her. I respect her greatly. My next principal, Amy Murphy, came from Bowie over there. And, you know, my experiences there and, you know, was great. And then I think I'm kind of off track. But, my other things that I did, you know, like I said, I wasn't burnt out. I was just ready to do something different. But I wasn't really ready to do something different. I thought I was. You were. And I was listening to people just telling me, oh, this will be great for you. You're going to be good at this. And the insurance world is exactly what you're supposed to be doing. That's where you belong. And I kind of listened to that because I am very passionate. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. I'm just going to try to do my very best at it. And it just never really fit me to the degree that I wanted it to. I loved all the fraternal things. Modern Woodman is a great company. I'm still a client with them. I started in my 30s as a client with them.
Mm-hmm.
Love what they do, the fraternal things. We go out to schools and we take things to teachers, and we give them supplies for their kids. We took coats. Brent Shaw is still doing that, by the way. He's still carrying on that Modern Woodman business here in Bowie. We would take coats to little ones. I love those things. But you don't get paid for those things.
Mm-hmm.
You get paid when somebody is buying insurance, or when somebody rolls over an annuity, or they get an annuity from you. So I'm not a salesman.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a passionate person, and I was not making money doing all the things I was doing because I needed to be a salesman.
Mm-hmm.
And it started out strong. I've lived in Bowie almost 60 years, and my natural market was coming out. We need insurance. We know you'll be honest with us. We need to roll over this annuity. What do we need to do with that? But that ends. Your natural market ends, and then you have to be a salesman. And I was not good at that. So I'm sorry. Yeah.
But I just think it's a great testament to that. Sometimes we go down different paths and go, why did I go down this?
Yes.
But I think they're necessary in order to find what our true calling, what our purpose, what our passion is.
Absolutely. Because like I said, I thought I was done until I realized I wasn't done. And that was my decision. It was not really what was on my heart. I was fighting that. Thinking, I'm going to be good at this. I'm going to be good at this. And this is going to be great. And I gave it all I had for 2.5 years. And then I really couldn't find myself. I just could not find myself wherever I went. Now, subbing was great, but I needed more of a full-time, not only financially, to pay for the things that I enjoy having. That would have been great had I been able to do that, financially. But we're just not there, and that's okay. That's our choice. We're good. We're still living life and enjoying our life. And so, everything I tried. Like I said, this is my 5th endeavor since I retired in 2018. So, and
probably the one.
I'm back. I'm back where I belong. And I can't tell you how many people have said to me, girl, we knew. We knew.
You just had to find out.
I had to find out, yeah.
So all those years, did you ever do more, like, I know you do singing all the time, but did you ever want to do it, like, professionally and just...
No.
You just do it because you enjoy doing it. It makes you happy.
Yeah, I was born, and there's a song on my CD called Your Fiddle. It's about my daddy. My daddy's daddy, my granddad Brown. He made fiddles with his own hands. He played. It's a natural ability. We're born with this natural ability where we don't have to read music. We just hear it. My daddy plays the fiddle. My daddy plays the guitar. Dad can play a mandolin. His dad, they're just very talented. So I have that gift that's just been given to me by God. It's just a family trait that I have. And so I wrote a song about my dad. And no, I mean, a lot of people, were like, gosh, that song, you need to get that to Dolly Parton, or you need to get that to Rhonda Vincent. I've even talked to my dad about that, because my dad he's not really, I mean, he knows Rhonda a little bit. My dad knows a lot of the players. My dad is I believe he's the vice president. Sorry, Dad, if I say this wrong, but I think he's the vice president of the Steel Guitar Association of Texas. He knows a lot of the fiddle players. He knows a lot of the steel guitar players. So my mom and dad get to go backstage a lot and see people. And so anyway, but yeah, that would have been cool to have that song out there as a songwriter. And I love singing background harmonies. If anybody wants to put me in the background to sing that harmony with them, that's what I love. But to be a star, to be a recording artist, I never wanted that. That was just not on my radar, really. So
and we so this was 2005 when your CD came out.
I believe it was 06 maybe 06 we launched it. I don't know. Gosh, the song was 05. I'm gonna have to think. I think we launched in October. Maybe it was 05. I don't know, Aaron. Well, 05, 06.
it was long enough that it was a CD still.
Yes.
So
yes.
And everything is digital now.
Yeah.
So Kim and I are working on getting it into digital, so if people want it in digital, they can have it in digital format. So,
yeah, absolutely. And just saying that, if anybody is interested,
yes.
I mean, I've got the CD. I have just a little tub full, and I was going to give you one to maybe give as a prize, a first call, or something. If you want to do it. But the lyrics are on the inside of the cover. There are a lot of lyrics to that song. Like I said, it is a 6-minute song, I believe, and there are a lot of lyrics, but they're all in there. If you just open up that little cover on the inside, everything is in there. My thank yous and who I really give credit to, and all those things. So.
And it's really a neat CD. I listened to all of it. It's great. And kind of to wrap it up, thank you for allowing me to use the song.
Well, thank you.
As the intro and outro. And two, one thing, somebody put it with a video. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I did that. I actually did that, and that was, I'm trying to remember why we even did that. When Bonnie, Bonnie Hamilton was up at the chamber office. She had something to do. I think she was maybe selling those for another fundraiser for something, but I can't remember exactly what all that was. But yes, Susan Maddox was my classroom aide at the time at Bowie Elementary, and my mom has yearbooks. She collects yearbooks and has a collection of yearbooks all the way from the very beginning of Bowie High School, all the way down to, I believe, the late 60s and maybe a couple from the 70s. And then she has my brother's and mine from, like, I was there from 79 to 83. And anyway, but my mother would give us pictures that we thought would be really good. So Susan would scan all those and she put them in a format where we could make a presentation, and then we just put the song with it. But yeah,
and it's really neat. I mean, to listen to the song and then see all those pictures.
Yeah,
it really. I mean, you can, if you weren't there to see it, you can really visualize what our
right, and that's what keeps resurfacing on Facebook.
Yes.
That video with the music keeps resurfacing every now and then, and every now and then you'll think, well, everybody's heard it by now. Well, sure enough, it'll resurface again somehow, and then there'll be somebody like, oh my gosh, I've never heard this, you know. And so anyway, but yeah, and I love when it does. And like I said, I mean, yeah, it makes me feel proud. I'm not going to say that I'm not like, oh, you know, that's cool, that's, you know. But at the same time, it's not about me. It's not about me. It is about this town. It is about the process. It's about sitting with my friend Lisa Bell. It's about my daughter and I flying to Nashville, you know, the first time. And then the second time, my dad and mom, they went so Daddy could actually play his fiddle at the end of the song, Your Fiddle. I had some great musicians out there. Well, actually, I had two musicians. The musicians. The CD is actually two people that did all the parts.
Oh, wow.
And then I sang all the harmony myself. So every song where there's harmony, I sang the melody. I would go back and then record my voice singing a higher harmony, and go back and record my voice singing a lower harmony, and then sometimes there was even another harmony. And then my daughter went out to sing on that This Town Is Home, because we had more voices at that end part with the reprise. So, but yeah, I mean, it's great process.
And another reason too, part of not only is my hometown podcast for those that already live here, but our town is growing.
Yeah.
So what better way to find out what our town is about and what it used to be about? Because I think that's special when you realize where a town came from. You understand it better. Same as with people. Yeah. When you can understand where a student is coming from, who they are, their life, you can understand that person.
Absolutely.
When you can understand the town, you can understand the people in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think your song does a great job of sharing those memories. And so it sparks those memories for those that lived it. And it can create an image for those that have not lived it.
Well, thank you. And I really appreciate that, because that was the purpose for people to realize, you know, and that's what I would hope. Anybody here that really questions what kind of town Bowie is. I mean, yeah, you know what? We're not perfect. There are people here that are not perfect. I'm not perfect, you know, but it's like I say a lot of times, you know, get involved. We would love to have people come help us hang the greens at Christmas. And I don't go every single year. I mean, this year I did take a group of my Goldberg students out to help. Get involved with chamber things. Come to the chamber banquet. Get involved in the chair fair if we have it, or whatever. Get involved. Instead of just sitting back and looking at people that are ugly to you, get involved with people that wouldn't be. Get involved with people that will say, you know, we had a newcomers event downtown a while back, for those that just moved to Bowie and just wanted to come meet people. And it was very successful. And we do have a lot of people here coming in, retirees that have come here, younger families that are coming here. So get involved, ask questions, call me about, if you see negative things, call me and let me direct you towards some positive things, because they're here. I guarantee you.
Because our imperfect town is made up of imperfect people.
Absolutely.
And if we choose to dwell on that, we can't see the beauty that is our town.
That's right. That's
that
exactly
that
right.
is Bowie, and there's a lot of beauty to it.
Yeah, and it's just like when your kids are getting coached, you're out there yelling at the coach. Well, are you willing to go get that team and go take them and coach them? You know, so I kind of look at it that way. If I'm not willing to do that, then I'm just going to kind of do this and then maybe learn more. So I interrupted you. I apologize.
No, and that's kind of my goal of the show, is to show the people the beauty of it. Yeah. Because there's a lot of things in our community that if you don't get out, you don't know about.
Absolutely.
And so my goal is to share those things that some might say are hidden gems, but they're out there, just nobody steps out to see them.
Right.
So they're not really that hidden.
Yeah.
But my goal is to share those with everybody.
Yeah.
They come to one place and find it. So my final question before we wrap up: what makes Bowie your hometown?
Bowie is my hometown because my mother was raised by an oil field dad. He survived World War II and came home and went to work in the oil field. And so she moved around a lot. His family was from Park Springs, so Park Springs is their home base. Mm-hmm. But after moving a lot, because I guess oil field guys used to travel with their families more. Now they just kind of go, and the families stay here or whatever. But my grandfather took his family, and so anyway, so they landed in Bowie. And with that being said, he actually, after surviving World War II, he lost his leg in an oil field accident, and was very depressed and was in a really bad state of mind when my mother was, I don't know, Mom could correct me, 10 or 11 maybe. But an old Army buddy encouraged him to start this service station and get it going. And he did. And his story is very beautiful. He was never, I mean, after that period of time where things were really bad, he was never, ever a victim, but only a victor. And I learned that from him. And so, anyway, so with that being said, what was your question again? Got off track.
What makes Bowie your hometown?
So my mom and our family landed back here. My dad's family, Dad was born in Henrietta, but they landed back. They landed here for some reason. I think my grandfather worked for the city of Bowie for a while, and I'm not sure what else, but they landed here in the 50s, and my mom and dad just never left. I mean, well, I say that. We actually did. My dad was employed by General Dynamics, and we left and went to Waco for a few years where my brother was born, but then we came back. So we've lived in Bowie, really. We've never really left. We left and went to Oklahoma one time for a couple of months, and the flood of 73, it came and destroyed everything we had. Our house was full of water, and our cars were both destroyed, and my mother cried to come back, quote, home, and because she needed her mama. See, you know where that comes from. But we did. We came back to Bowie. So that's what makes Bowie home, is that my family, my parents landed here with their families, and they just embraced Bowie as home, and that's why it is home to me.
And what's one thing that you would like to tell everybody that is special about your hometown?
My hometown is special because we're still small enough that you can get to know everybody. You get involved and you get with a group of people that love it as much as I do. You can learn to love it. We don't want people that have come here to go. We don't wish you were not here. I meet new people all the time. And like I said, at that event where people came, they were so eager to be a part of us. We embrace, and I say we, just those of us that have been here forever, we embrace that. We want people to be a part of us. So I'm just going to say there is an embracing spirit here. And just like when there's tragedy, and I don't want to get emotional, but when there's tragedy, you will never see a hometown come together like this one. And Nocona too. I have to give Nocona credit. There is strength in love at the times when it is needed. You ask these families that have lost their loved ones, this young one this past week, just people in the community. I mean, this town has an embracing, loving spirit that cannot be matched in Dallas, Fort Worth, bigger towns. It just can't happen. And that's what I love. If something happened to me right now because of my reputation as a teacher or, whatever, people that love me, I mean, people would just flood to my family. They would just flood to them. What can we do? They pray. Some people don't reach out, and that's okay because they're praying. They're loving in spirit. So that's what I love. We have an embracing, loving spirit here, and all you got to do is want it. And if you fight against it, that's on you.
That's right.
Not on me.
Yeah. So. Well, thank you, Kim, for being on the show and
I appreciate it
and allow me to share the song with the world. And
thank you.
I'm going to figure out a way that they can get it and download it. We're going to figure all that out.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I appreciate that.
So at the beginning of the show and the end of the show, you'll catch a little bit of it, but not all of it. But it'll give them a sense of what our town is about.
Absolutely.
So we'll get that out.
And if anybody wants to see the CD on Facebook, I mean, it's out there. And if if somebody asks you or they want to just watch it or see it, I can surely. There for a while, it wouldn't let me share for some reason. Or I don't know what it was. Or maybe they had to change settings, or I did. But anyway, we can get it out there because people are sharing it. So if they can't find it or whatever,
It took me a little bit to find the video and song. So so when this comes out, we'll we'll get it and we'll
yeah,
get it
maybe
out there
yeah,
and share it around and it'll go around.
Yeah, I can't remember. It's on some Bowie alumni page or Bowie Memories page or something. And so if somebody wants to see it, we'll get them there.
Yeah,
I can't tell them how right this minute, but we'll get them there.
We will. So thank you, Kim, for
thank you, Aaron. I appreciate
part
it.
of my hometown.
Absolutely, and I wish you the very best. You have quite a great reputation here. My mother loves you.
I love her.
My mother loves you, and I've known you since you were a little boy, and I love your little wife. She was a little girl when I met her, and a lot of people don't realize how old I really am, and that's okay. I am, and I'm embracing that. But thank you. You do a great job, and Bowie needs you, and you really have a purpose here.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
So thank you, everybody, for taking a little time to stop by and visit with us today, and we're looking forward to seeing you around my hometown.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.